Presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back with us today. I don't recognize you.
I know. Clean shaven, the way it should be. I think at least what feels more regular.
Well, you grow the beard for November and Movember, and so we thank you for that. Let's talk a little bit about when we get to the winter of the year, and we have snowstorms on the horizon, and sometimes those are major storms. Of course, it's been a while since we've had anything like they got up in Erie.
Yes, that's for sure.
And nobody wants any 12-foot snowfalls like they seem to be getting every now and again. But when it does snow and it turns into a major event, it doesn't take a ton of snow to make a ton of trouble for a police agency, does it?
That's right. It doesn't take a ton of snow. Most of the time, it's a very little bit of snow and a lot of ice, or a mixture of snow and ice that causes a tremendous amount of problem. But we can combat those things by giving ourselves extra time, making sure that our vehicles are inspected and that they have the proper equipment to travel in that type of weather. And, just to extend as much patience as possible to the folks that are out there motoring with us is really important.
Yeah. And we think about things such as Pennsylvania has a law to make sure that your car is cleaned off completely before you move it out. You got to have good tires, and all of those things have to be checked out.
Yeah, we want to have good tires. We want to have, both headlights working. We want to have our taillights working. We need to have all of our windows cleared off. A lot of times you'll see only where the wiper tracks are, or sometimes back windows completely frosted over or snowed over. Also, snow piled up on the top of a vehicle. That might not seem like a big deal, but when you press the brakes on your car and that snow slides from the roof of your car down your windshield, it creates a blinding situation. Or when it blows off and it hits the car behind you, it creates a blinding situation. So there are a lot of things to think about in the snow, and we need to protect ourselves, but we also need to protect others.
Yeah.
Because if the tires aren't good and we skid, we're looking to, potentially create an issue for a car in front of us, or God forbid a pedestrian in a crosswalk. So just simple precautions that we can take throughout the year to make sure that our cars are ready for winter weather. And then, of course, if the weather outside is so bad that it might be more prudent to stay in, we want you to stay in, because there's no sense in being reckless with anything out on the road.
Have to be really careful at intersections, too. That's really important. Stopping distance becomes an issue. Speaking of being safe, I came into town one early morning over the weekend, and I saw that there at 5th and Philadelphia Streets, a couple of police officers had pulled over somebody for suspicion of drunk driving, and he was doing the walk test to trying to walk that straight line, celebration season is a wonderful season of the year, and we can look, and D.A. Manzi has talked about this as well, we can look at any criminal call list, and when we do, we're going to see probably 30 to 40 DUI cases coming before the courts. It's a terrible, terrible problem, and so I know that from the police standpoint, you'd rather not be pulling people over for impaired driving, but you have to.
Yeah. So, our mission is one of our missions is roadway safety, of course, and drunk driving is a huge issue that impacts millions of people, and it impacts our community as well. And so, we need to minimize crashes. We need to minimize injury. We need to minimize damage to others. And so, we do actively and aggressively pursue intoxicated drivers, because drunk driving is completely avoidable. It's a decision. Alcohol impairs judgment. I've said that many times during our celebratory weekends. But there's a conscious decision that's made after you've been drinking to get into a car. And with all the available, Uber and Lyft and friends that are available, Indiana's a walkable community. We really can avoid those self-inflicted problems that plague our community. And so that's why law enforcement all across the state of Pennsylvania, Indiana County for sure, Indiana Borough takes that so seriously, because we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do to keep everybody safe. And so, drunk driving is one of those things that we have zero tolerance for.
The DA and I have talked about this in the past, and I probably have broached the subject with you as well. When you're talking about impaired driving these days, more often than not, you are maybe talking about substance abuse that is not alcohol, but is marijuana. And because people have smoked marijuana, they could be impaired. And we've talked about the difficulty of recognizing that and policing that as opposed to alcohol. Alcohol on the breath is pretty easy to smell. Marijuana is pretty easy to smell, but you don't know who's been using it. And as the DA has said, whether you have medical marijuana license or not, doesn't matter. You still can't get in behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, all of these things impair our judgment, and I wish that I could find something easy that law enforcement has to deal with, but the challenges just continue to becoming greater, and so our trainings have to be better and our level of alertness. But to your point and to the district attorney's point, there is a presence of medical marijuana in the community, and I'm sure that for medical purposes that's very important, but that does not mean that we can get behind the wheel of a car. And would be the same general synopsis as taking too much NyQuil or taking a pain medication and getting behind a car. These things distort our judgment, and when we're not able to make a best decision on our best day, we're certainly not able to make a good decision on one of our worst days. So, we just have to be diligent as a police community to locate these operators and to make sure that they're not on the road. And we need to do the same diligence as a community to make sure that our neighbors and our children and our friends are making good decisions, because oftentimes, like I said, these things are preventable. And there's an education component, there's a good friend component, there's a police component, there is a community component. And all these things, when they work together, they do a really good job of keeping everybody safe. But when there's a breakdown in one of those areas or another, then we start to see some negative and dangerous situations.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping people safe, you do that at events that are held downtown and throughout the community. You do it at schools as well. When you get to the holiday shopping period, it's not like we have a crime wave going through the community, but people do need to make sure their purses are secured and that their bags are accounted for, and you'll help them where you can.
Yeah, it's an honor for us to serve the community, and although we're blessed in Indiana to have a great community, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a contingent of visitors or folks that are have negative intent or ill intent or are looking to monopolize on someone who perhaps is vulnerable, and that can't be tolerated. And so that's what we're going to do over the Christmas season. We're going to put out good advice, keep your packages off your porches in timely fashion. If you travel, make sure that your doors and windows are locked. Tell a neighbor, have someone watching out for you, keep some lights on. Let the police department know if you're going to be out of town for an extended period of time. If you're a student and you're leaving for an extended period of time, take your valuables home. We want to make sure that we're not targeted. And so there are some reasonable and responsible things that we can do there. But rest assured, the police department's out here 24/7, 365. We're driving around at 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we take our job very seriously. We're very good at it. You can be proud of the men and women of your Indiana Borough Police Department and everyone in Indiana County law enforcement, because everyone is compassionate, caring, courageous, and working towards community success.
Get to December, you get toward the end of the year, you start making reports, don't you?
I do. We have an end of the year report that's going to come out probably in January. I don't have all the statistics compiled, but again, I'm confident that what that report will show is that we've worked hard this year, that we've increased technology where we could, that we've worked with partners, that we've tried to increase relationships, that we've been well trained, and that we're doing things moving in a positive direction for the community. We want to consider ourselves, and we do consider ourselves, ambassadors for the Indiana community, and we want to make sure that we're plugging in all ways that can bring everybody success.
Chief Justin Schawl with us here this morning, and I know that a big component of what you do is a community goodwill as well. Axle's not the only way that you do that. That you're always out there to help folks, no matter what it is that they might be involved in.
Well, we are, and it's a robust approach to true sense of community policing, and that starts with understanding our community, being invested in our community, being invested in the success of our downtown businesses, being invested in the safety of our students in schools, being invested in all right-minded approaches that can bring us positive outcomes. And so we're very much going to continue that trajectory. We're going to focus on things that can deliver peace, safety, and comfort at a very high level, and everything that we can do to enhance quality of life for our community. That's what we're going to do in 2025.
Very good. Hey, thanks for the visit today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We didn't break any new ground today, but that's okay.
No, sometimes it's good to just rehash what we're doing.
Yeah. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. We're about 3 minutes away from the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Josh Whittison will come by with the check of news right after.